Let's take a look at applying style sheet knowledge to using a WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get publishing tools such as Webflow. There's many components available. You'll find components off to the side. Add an element, and the element I'm going to add is a button. I'm going to drag that button. You can put it anywhere. I'm dragging it within this hierarchy. So think about it, elements within elements. If you're taking a web design course, this means divs within divs. But here, we don't have to care about divs within divs. We're dealing with the visual interface we're building. When I'm done with that button, I'm just going to right click to get out of it. You can select different properties of this button right up here. I'm ignoring all that because this is a lesson on how to use your CSS knowledge from a web design course and apply it to some type of visual interface. Clicking on this button, like that. Selector, those are classes. Going to type a new selector, and I'm going to call it my button. But that's not very helpful. We'll call it main button. Anywhere where there's a main button. And anywhere where there's a main button, here are all the CSS properties for it. Let's do an easy one, just changing the background color. You could click the text and highlight the text within that button if you want to change it. And I'm going to call it main button. However, that's a little confusing up here and here. How about just a simple click me exclamation point, because really click this button. Here's the font size for the button. Let's change it to 19 points. Wow, it gets bigger. 30 points, even bigger. So you can control the typography of this button up here. So you could pick a different font. You could pick the alignment of the button. You could pick the style, such as italics, not italics. And you could go on and on and on. But the purpose of this was to show what happens if you have a second button. How do we get it to look just like this? Remember, the class for this button is main button, which is right up here, or we can see it right up here. I'm going to my components. I'm going to drag out another button. Let me put it over here, just for the heck of it. Going to uncheck it by clicking off here, so it's not selected. If I want this button's style to match my main button style, just select the button, and from Selector, start to type in main. Main. Here's the main button that I typed in lowercase. And look at that. It picks up the same CSS style. This is just a short demo how you can apply your knowledge of deeper CSS, doing it manually by typing in the code and project into other interfaces like this one in order to just use your knowledge that you have and adapt it to whatever tool is in front of you. I'm going to select my main button now that I'm on responsive size. And I'm going to say, you know what? Your size will be 20. Now when I go back to my desktop size, you can see that it picks up the responsive size. I'll make it a little more dramatic so it's easier to see. We're back to our blue background for the button. So on mobile, it's 20 points and dark blue, and that rollover state needs to be addressed. And on regular desktops, you can see that the style changes. This is using media queries, which you probably covered when learning CSS. Whenever I click on one of these icons, it's jumping into a different responsive mode, and each one of these breakpoints can be defined. You can redefine the CSS by just clicking, let's say, on this breakpoint and choosing a different color. I'll choose red just because it's easier to see, or this color, much better than red. While this might look bad visually, it's just a demo on applying CSS knowledge to visual interface editors.